This is Matt Brown, and you're listening to Just a Good Conversation. Life is good when your first internship turns into a 30-year job at the Los Angeles Times. Robert Lachman was that good and that lucky. During his time, he covered the Super Bowl, the World Series, an Olympics, every major event in LA, and he even won an Emmy.
The difference from when I first started, not everybody could do what a newspaper photographer could do just because of the mechanics, the chemistry involved, the camera gear involved, the expense of the camera gear and everything else. You know, no phones, no nothing, pretty much. Now everybody's got a phone and video, and the competition is crazy. The cameras are so good now. It's hard to not take a great photo with just every camera out there now.
I'm Matt Brown, host of Just a Good Conversation. Take a listen to our archives. My guests have ranged from school teachers, an Oscar winner, and one of the greatest college softball players of all time, Jenny Topping.
Getting on that podium, you're trying to put it together. And I just remember, what is the point of this? Having that feeling. And, you know, I'm bending down and they're putting the gold medal around my neck. And I look up into the stands, and my parents and my sister and her boyfriend at the time and an aunt are all just bawling. They're crying. And I sort of put it together. I was like, wow, this is, you know, at that time, this was my give back to my family who sacrificed everything for me.
Go to justagoodconversation.com for all our archives. Let's take a quick break for our sponsor before diving into my conversation with Robert Lachman. I have him finally. Robert, how are you?
Just great. It took a little while.
A little while?
There are a few delays. Come on, wait, stuff happens, you know?
There's been 4 variants since the time I talked to you.
It has been about a month. No, it's what? Been about
2 months.
At least.
But I got my
Who's counting?
I got my arms around you, and I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah, I got the whole house to myself, which is a rare occurrence, and it's pretty quiet. So we got to get things moving before some construction starts somewhere. Somebody starts mowing their lawn.
I miss you.
Oh.
I miss you were so much fun. Like when there was an assignment and you would show up in the photo well or at a hockey game or anything, because you were just like the fun guy.
Wait a second, you got me confused with someone else. No way.
Your sense of humor was great. It was there needs to be clones of you.
Thank you. You got me confused with someone else.
Not a chance. Tell me this. I want to know, because are you a local guy or did you fall into California? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in the Valley, San Fernando Valley.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's great.
Was it a time of your life back then?
Oh, sure.
The Valley was just growing?
It seemed fine, you know. It's just, it's huge now. I mean, Now you go out to places which weren't even there when I grew up. I mean, it was pretty far to go past, say, Tarzana or Reseda or anywhere past the 405. You know, it didn't connect to anything pretty much. So it was pretty cool.
It was pretty good?
Yeah.
Did you grow up brothers, sisters? You were an only child?
2 older sisters. So it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. You know, it's I had a great time growing up. Just and that's probably where I started with cameras.
How'd you find photography?
My dad had cameras, and so I would just try different stuff. It was fun. I did it in high school and growing up, and we had a darkroom at the house. And it just
so
started
he
from
was
there.
into it.
No, I did the darkroom.
Oh, you did
I
the
did the darkroom. So it was pretty fun. You know, he did like Kodachrome and stuff like that and stuff. He never did black and white
Why did you fall into black and white? The cost?
No, it was just something fun. You know, back in the days, that was photography. You know, it's not like now where it's, all digital and it would be hard to do stuff. And no, I mean, it was fun to do. Taking pictures was fun. I did, sports and stuff. Then I did high school sports and stuff like that, and then junior college sports, and it just kind of went from there.
Did you pick up the camera pretty well and understand the aperture shutter speed and all those?
Yeah, it was fun. I always enjoyed doing stuff like that. So it was, I think I started with an old Minolta camera, and then
was that your dad's, or did you get a hand-me-down?
Yeah, it was my dad's, and went from there. So it's changed over the years. I mean,
a little bit. Sure.
I mean, I really don't want to go back. I'm not one of those that says, "Oh, get off my lawn." And
I want the dark room back.
Yeah, I don't want the dark room back.
You don't want that smell of fixer all over your body.
No.
Yeah, those days.
I love the new stuff is just so amazing. I don't need to have. When I look back and I look at my stuff, it's a little grainy.
Can't imagine why.
It looked good back then.
Well, yes, you can't judge that.
Yeah, but it was fun too because the black and white photographs were interesting too, and people really liked looking at them because most people, when I first started, they were used to seeing snapshots, small snapshots,
sure.
Color snapshots. So when you showed people 11 by 14s, printed nicely and mounted, they really enjoyed seeing those, and those really looked different than what people are used to. Now,
Yes.
I'm not sure people would think those look different. Maybe they would look different now because people are used to looking at their phones. I don't know.
I think it's different. I think it would be because so few people actually have artwork on their wall, photography on their walls now. Everything's on their phone. So it's in their, they don't print up as much or as easily as they used to. When you used to go get a print, some 4x6s, you'd hang them up on the wall.
You mean because I have 50,000 photos in my photos library and another 50,000 in my
Cloud
Lightroom catalog? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But there are a few pictures up on the wall, right? Pretty good that I've taken. Yeah, pretty good.
The general public, I bet, does not make prints. And
Not anymore. And even Costco stopped making prints. That was one of my favorite places to get prints made. And for just kind of
getting it done.
And they've stopped. So pretty much, I guess we went through a phase where you drop stuff off at the corner camera store to get your pictures done, and they would develop and take 3 or 4 days and you get your pictures back, to getting stuff done in an hour, and then getting stuff done in a half hour, and then there were those labs everywhere, from the drugstore to Target, to Costco.
You could drop it off in Costco, shop, and pick it up on the way out the door.
Absolutely, but those days are gone. So
gone.
It's kind of disappointing, but I you can do things like make books. I've done those kinds of things for people, and that's kind of fun.
You could never have done that 30 years ago.
No. Well, you'd made albums.
Yeah.
Which were really hard and really expensive, especially nice albums like wedding albums and those kinds of things. That, you'd have to get the prints made, and then you'd have to try to fit them into these albums. Oh, I don't miss that.
Don't miss that at all. So, with your finding photography, did you have your heart set like maybe this is something I want to do, or when did that become a career choice?
Well, that's funny because you mentioned that, and how I really got as a career choice. I thought I was going to go into more of an engineering track and maybe pre-veterinary science and that kind of thing. So I went to Cal Poly Pomona for a year, and it wasn't a really good fit for me. So I came back to the Valley, and I went to summer school, and the only class open at was Valley College. It was called back then. It's probably got a different, fancier name now, but the only class open was left when I went to sign up was a journalism class.
Of course, that was the only one open. Sure.
Yeah. And so it kind of went from there that once I took the journalism class, it was a prerequisite for the photography classes. And I did get most of my training or experience, actually a little more, what you'd consider a little more formal training. And I went there for 2 years and, was...
Did you take to it? Did you really enjoy it?
Oh, I loved it. I was worked on the newspaper, the yearbook, everything there I possibly could. And that's actually how I ended up getting an internship right after that at the LA Times.
Right. But what was the hook? What was that class, that teacher, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I got to do this?
I can't remember all the names, but I just enjoyed every class. I enjoyed taking pictures so much back then. I couldn't get enough. They had a dark room there. I was there, it was just...
You lived there, basically.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was like that. Like, I don't want to go home. This is great.
Yeah, so it was pretty fun. I like shooting sports. I like doing everything. So I would say that's where I started. And, I got an internship from there after 2 years. And I was at the paper for forever, so...
Right. I mean, how does that happen for you? I mean, think about it. Who tells you to even apply at an internship?
There was sort of a track because other people from there had got, so there was a little bit of a connection. And
in the newspaper, the school newspaper?
from people coming from that school
Okay.
to getting internships at the LA Times.
Okay.
So it was, it was a little bit of a path that was.
What did you show that internship? Walk me through it.
I can't even remember that. I hate to say that's.
Did you have a book?
I can't remember. That was.
You had to have some like 8x10s printed up.
I guess I had probably some stuff in a notebook, but I can't even remember what I had.
Come on, little Robbie's got to show up with some
It
prints.
was probably some pretty bad slides into second base. So I'm guessing.
No faces, just lots of dirt and bats.
Yeah, because back then my longest lens was probably a 200 millimeter.
I thought you were going to say 135 or the 180.
And that was the craziest part of getting to the LA Times, was actually using some long lenses, but that was before 300 2.8s. That was before they had some pretty custom lenses that were made, some pretty long, decently long lenses that I hadn't even tried before. But they were always different brands. They weren't Nikon. They weren't Canon or anything.
Something goofy.
Yeah, I remember when I saw, maybe after a couple of years, the first 300 2.8, and it wasn't internal focus. It weighed about 300 pounds. It was crazy. The whole lens moved.
Right, the whole mechanism kind of spun. It was very weird.
Yeah.
So, do you have that internship down in downtown LA?
That's correct.
How did that go?
It was great. I loved every minute of it. It's just.
How long was it? 6 months or a year?
Yeah, probably 6 months.
And what did you cover? Like, come on, you're the intern.
Well, I can remember probably one of the most exciting things to me was being able to go to a Dodger game. That was great.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Sitting in a photo well, it kind of spoils you. Sure. It's pretty hard for me to go to stuff now.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That. It's like sitting in the stands.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
I mean, the guys are, walking right by you, and it's just a whole, you can reach out and touch someone there. They're that close to you.
Do you remember, did they send somebody with you? Did you shadow somebody?
Yeah. I remember going the first time. I went with Art Rogers.
Did you? Art Rogers?
He was one of my idols back then, yeah.
What was that like?
Awesome. He was like a legend to me. There were, photographers there that I had,
You
seen
did go in that golden era.
It was pretty cool. I was kind of a mix in there, yeah, because, it was, it ranged, Art Rogers, and then was funny in that sort of one of the younger photographers who I enjoyed working with, like Joe Kennedy.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a range. He was sort of in the middle, and then the younger ones were like me and Rick Meyer.
Oh, man.
Rick Meyer was right. He was a couple of years ahead of me. So
right.
Yeah, so it's just funny in that when you look back, you become the older one. Well, first you branch into the middle.
Yes.
And then there's people younger and older, and then you branch into where you're the oldest.
Yeah.
And it's just funny.
Then you were Roger.
Yeah, it's just funny how that all works.
So you go to that game with him, you just got to be like stunned.
Yes. Just the magic of being able to, go wherever you want. It was fun back then. They had a dining room, and you could eat before the games and things like that. It was super nice. And
it was classy, right?
It was unbelievable. I was just in awe,
And that must have been the surprise part to you, because you probably didn't know that even existed.
Not really. I didn't know what to expect in those kinds of things. Yeah, I mean, they kind of, and you have to remember back in those days, the LA Times, everybody saw the pictures. And that was a huge change over the years in how it is now. And people don't get newspapers much. Pretty much when you got a picture on the sports section, everybody you knew saw it.
Yeah.
And said something. And then the bigger it ran, the more they liked it. It almost didn't matter what it was. It seemed like the larger the photo, the more people liked it. And I've never explained that. I don't know why that is, but it's funny. But it was kind of interesting in the way, how that all changed, and the TV was important, but not as important. Like the Wires and AP, UPI, and Sports Illustrated, and us being the biggest local paper, you would get the good spots. You could, it was different. And now it's pretty much everything's run by TV, and no one really cares about
the
other, still photographers.
When you would be in that photo well and there would be a SI photographer, so if it was whoever was on staff at that point, was that a big deal when they came into town?
No, I wouldn't say it was a big deal, but it was always different. And they always usually had like an assistant. That was cool.
Right.
Things like that. All those guys were really nice. I wouldn't say it was like a big production. They usually had probably the best gear.
Okay.
Back when I started, my gear wasn't that good from the LA Times. Well, the one last story was when I got to work, when I did work there, when I first started, that was the first time I ever used a motor drive.
Really?
Yes. And you have to remember, motor drives were pretty rare because I used a Nikon F, and you actually had to have it sent out. You couldn't buy it. They had to specially fit it.
Right, yeah. There wasn't the pieces today. It just kind of slips right in.
Right, so that was the first time I'd ever held a motor drive.
They had to change all the mechanisms and stuff internally.
Something, I don't know what went on, but that was the first time I'd ever touched a motor drive.
What was that like?
It was awesome.
Because you went from your thumb shifting, pulling, and carrying it to the right to...
My Nikermat and I forgot what other camera,
Now you're what, 3 frames a second or whatever it did? 2.5?
Whatever it was. It was awesome.
It might as well have been a Mustang for you at that point.
That's correct.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun. That's pretty silly, huh?
Now that's 74?
Yes.
Yeah. What a great time.
It was just different. It wasn't like today where you can cover a whole game. Like if it was a night game, we'd get pictures from 3 innings probably.
So, yeah, walk me through that. We'll do baseball. So, a Dodger game. What time would you get to a baseball game at Dodger Stadium for a 7:05 baseball game?
It would just depend if you had another assignment before. If you didn't have another assignment, it would depend on. I'd try to get there as early as I could.
Okay.
3 hours early or whatever. And, you shoot batting practice and that kind of stuff to get some feature stuff, things like that. Then probably go up and eat and then come down and get ready to shoot. But it would depend on the game and who they were playing. I'm trying to think. Sometimes that was before we had dark rooms and could transmit at the stadium. So there were only 2 options. 1, shoot 3 innings, go back.
Drive like a bat out of hell?
Well, Dodger Stadium was pretty close.
Still, but...
Number 2, if it was a big game, sometimes we'd have a motorcycle messenger pick up the film.
But you would still have to get from your spot, go to wherever, top of the world, and drop off film to them, or they come to you?
No, they just come to you. You give them to an alpha, and they take it.
So good.
Same thing if we're doing like a Laker game, stuff like that. Depending on the game. That wasn't a lot. I think most of the time we just came back.
Okay.
So, it would
3 innings.
1 quarter, 3 innings. Well, you figure the deadline, you had to get it to,
What was your deadline?
I think around 9:30.
Okay, so let's say that game...
Maybe you could push it to 9:45 and stuff like that.
So if you haul ass out of Dodger Stadium by, let's say, 8?
Yeah, and I don't remember if the games back then, when I was a kid, Dodger games started at 8 o'clock.
Yes, they did.
But I think most of the games started like the weekdays, 7:30 maybe. They keep getting earlier now. But.
Right. For the East Coast time TV, because they can show them on TV now, so it's readily available, easy. So you would haul ass down to LA, downtown, stop the car, get the film, dump it off. Would you soup it?
No, I do everything.
Did it all.
Park, just come up, process.
How many rolls do you think you would have? Would you do deadline rolls first, not the feature batting practice?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's hard to say. You know how baseball is. You could have anything from 1 roll to 4 maybe, or more.
Depending on what happens.
Yeah, there's not. You just.
So then you get all that out.
Yeah.
Make a print.
And you're praying for a slide at home.
Anything really.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's baseball. First innings, it could be nothing.
It could have nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
And now you're staying the whole game, and you're getting a picture from the end of the game in the paper. Getting it in the paper, which was pretty cool.
So back then, was it pretty standard for 1, maybe 2 photos of the game?
But that's all they really had room for most of the time. It could depend. If it was a day game, then you'd have more time and more space, and so it depends who they're playing.
Sure, if they're playing
Sometimes
the Reds.
It was just 1 photo inside, depending on who they're playing.
Right, the Braves were in town, nobody cared.
Yeah.
But if the Reds were in town, they're world champions defending. Yeah, it's a big deal. That's pretty cool.
It depends.
Now, come on.
But we had the messengers on big games, like if it was playoffs, those kinds of things. Then you'd have the messenger and you'd stay the whole game.
So that internship ends. What's your thought?
Well, in life, timing's everything, right?
It is.
One person died, another had a heart attack right at toward the end of my internship, and I got hired part-time.
Who passed and who had a heart
I
attack?
can't remember. I'm not sure. I don't even remember back then. I'd have to try to figure that out. But so.
And then they said, "Hey, good looking. You want a job?" I mean,
well, it's timings. It's just
right. Who calls you in and says there's a job offer?
Well, you kind of knew and stuff like that. There's the chief photographer hired. Kind of does, and it's the whole thing. So.
And you said, "Sure, yeah, I'll stay.
I'll stay.
I like this gig."
Yeah, I was going to school at the time. I got my degree from Cal Arts. That's where I have my degree from, and so I was working almost full time, but kind of part time, and kind of going to school. And I got my degree, and then that was it.
Now there was a love of fine art photography, though, right?
I guess not as much. No, I mean I went there because it just seemed like a good place to go more.
Just a good place.
Well, it seemed like I should get my degree.
Okay.
But yeah, I was working full time. I was learning more at the paper, doing stuff. Yeah, I mean, you learn more by doing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
So
do they keep you in downtown, or do you get shipped off to one of the bureaus?
I worked downtown for 3 years, and then some stuff moved around. So then I went to Southeast for about 9 months, and then they opened San Diego, and I volunteered to go down there. So that's where I worked, like with John McDonough. We opened up the paper down there in San Diego, that was very cool.
Did you move? Was
I
that
lived in San Diego for 3 years.
Wow.
And that was a lot of fun.
That's a big commitment.
Yeah. We worked out of a men's room in the floor below because it was a brand new building, and so we worked out of a men's room for almost like 6 months. Pretty fun. It wasn't bad.
Wait a second. You're gonna go from, let's say, were you living in the Valley at the time? Where were you living?
Yeah, I lived in Burbank.
Okay, so you're in Burbank, and they say, "Hey, we'd love you to start up this bureau in San Diego." Oh, but you're working out of the men's room?
That was cool. So I worked with John. That was a lot of fun. And then an opening.
What was John like back then? I know
John's
John,
the greatest guy I ever worked with.
Was he?
Well, I've worked with a lot of great people.
You've worked with some wonderful people.
I've worked with a ton of great people, and he's just great to work with.
What was he like young then? Same? 100 miles an hour?
He was a great photographer and super nice. I mean, I don't know how else to.
3 years with the man, you'd think you'd have something more than nice guy.
Nah.
So you're covering what? Chargers?
Yeah, that was fun because unlike sometimes when you're like a paper with a big staff, you're doing a lot of other kinds of stuff that's not as fun maybe or as big, but pretty much since our staff was so small, we were just kind of doing the main stuff that was happening news-wise or sports-wise, and that was great. Chargers were fun. Padres were fun.
That's the Dan Fouts era, right?
That's correct, yeah. They never got past to the Super Bowl then, but they were pretty much a heartbreak team back then where they would score a lot and then always lose in the playoffs.
Right.
But yeah, you're right, Dan Fouts and all that other stuff. And the Padres weren't really very good back then either.
No, God, no.
But they were fun. It was fun. It was low-key and just, I remember they didn't even build a thing that was a fun stadium to shoot at, though, because they didn't really build a photo well there ever. So all they did was put plywood in the dugout at the end. So you were basically sitting in the dugout.
This is the old Murph?
Yes. So you were on ground level.
Wow.
And
they
actually,
give you
then
a
the player,
chair, or what did they do?
Well, no, there were spots where you sit, but you were actually in the dugout. So like the players would have to actually walk by you to go up the ramp and stuff like that.
Well, wasn't it like that? I remember very early on when I covered the Dodgers, it was like that where that inside position, you were like literally in the dugout.
Yeah, I think so.
But then if Tommy got pissed, he'd put that blue shield up and kind of like block you so you couldn't see
I
in.
think I was shooting when Walter Alston was still there.
Yes, you were.
Yeah, no, not.
Yes, you were.
No, I don't go back quite that far.
Yes, you were.
No.
Tommy didn't get the job until 76 or 77.
You think? No.
Yeah.
Was someone in between?
No, because Tommy was the third base coach.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, you were young. Yeah, Tommy was him, and they all said to Tommy in his press conference, "How do you feel following Walter Austin?" He goes, well, "How are they going to feel following me?" He just thought he was going to be there for 30, 40 years,
and he was.
He was. He never left. So, did you enjoy your time though in San Diego?
It was fun, yeah. But I always knew I wanted to come back more this way, and family, and just
Were you married at the time?
No.
Okay.
No. So yeah, I just I always felt I wanted to come back. So the spot opened up in Orange County, and it seemed like a good spot to be. So I came back.
How big was the bureau in OC at that time? Pretty small, as well.
Photo wise,
Yeah.
we had grown. Maybe we had 3 people.
Okay.
That was it. It wasn't. I don't think we had even 4.
Who was with you?
I can't even remember. All I remember was John.
In OC.
Oh, then that was probably like 5. Don Kelson. I think I can't remember. Cliff Otto.
Okay.
A couple. It was a little bit of an older staff. A little bit older, and Don, and there's one of the younger, and a couple other people.
And that's where you stayed.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I enjoyed every minute there.
Was that out of the Costa Mesa office?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which isn't a newspaper anymore.
No. Now it's going to be like
an office building.
Yeah, an office building and some transformed parking lot for IKEA or whatever. Mm-hmm. So at those times, what were you covering that you were really enjoying? Because it's like the late 70s, early 80s. What was happening that you were like, oh, this is fantastic stuff?
Let me think. That's a tough one. There was always sports. I always enjoyed that, but I enjoyed any kind of out-of-town stuff, just doing people and stuff like that. I like all that stuff. I mean, I didn't even mind doing a play setup now and then. So.
Right. Did you ever have the thought like, I'd like to go cover some war conflict? I'm early, I'm not married.
No. That never really appealed to me. I don't know why. That just seemed, I don't know. I don't like that. You're sort of in these weird spots where you don't have much control over it. I'm not a big fan of that.
Because there was a lot going on. Like you could have gone to Ireland in the late 70s or, the Middle East. There's all kinds of craziness.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I ever really even thought about wanting to do that stuff. That just didn't.
Did the Times send people back then? Were there's anybody even doing international work, if you remember?
Maybe a little bit back then, but certainly not to what it evolved.
Because it must have been so difficult to shoot and transmit.
Sending and transmitting would almost be impossible back then. So, I mean, even logistics as it got better with the satellite stuff still was logistically not, I don't think, very easy. I never transmitted with the satellite stuff, but it seemed like it was pretty hard.
Oh, God, yeah. It couldn't have been... you must have only been able to shoot stories because there's no way you got anything back on any kind of deadline, especially a week deadline. So if you're in Ireland covering, a massacre and you're trying to get it into the paper, not happening. So that must have been. So what were you then looking for? What did you want to cover in that early parts of your career? Did you want to go to the Olympics in the 80s, or was that on your radar in 84?
The Olympics, I did do the Olympics in 84, which was fun.
Were you wanting to do it in 1980?
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed every minute of that. I did some preps. I did a lot of boxing back then in terms of for the Olympics. That was sort of going to be one of my things. So I did a lot of prep work for that and things like that. Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Where did you shoot the boxing? Was that at the Olympic Auditorium? Or forum, or just anywhere you could?
Well, I went to the Olympic Training Center and stuff like that. Did all the pre-stuff, all the stuff for the Olympic trials and stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. That was Mike Tyson was. That was the year he was coming up.
Right.
He didn't make the Olympic team though.
No.
He lost to a guy who was more of a technician than him, and the way the scoring is, it doesn't help just to be a guy who can try to knock people out.
Right. So. Especially it's hard with a knockout with all that headgear and the giant pads.
Yeah, so That was a lot of fun. I can't even remember. Trying to think. I think they did it at the sports arena for the Olympics. I think where else it would it have been, right?
Yeah. The Forum had stuff.
Did the Forum have stuff? Maybe that was there too.
Basketball, I think, was it Pauley?
Maybe.
Yeah, it was broken up everywhere. Did you enjoy covering the Olympics?
Oh, sure. Who wouldn't?
How big was the team?
Well, it was great because the funny part about the Olympics, they were so worried about the traffic.
Right.
And then there was none.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the COVID era where there was no traffic anywhere. So that was, everything about it was great.
Yeah, because remember they did the old please if you can shift hours or not have people work. And
it was a little before people could stay at home at work. So.
A lot before, yeah. Was there then, okay, so where are you then projecting in your career? Are you thinking, I'm going to stay here at the times? Or was there ever like, maybe I'll go here or go there? Or before a family gets too big, I'll go to Miami, Chicago, New York.
No, that would never have. I think maybe something like shooting sports for a magazine, but I kind of enjoy doing everything. I don't know if I just would want to shoot sports all the time. I really like getting out and doing different things, doing like portraits and all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's a little more creative some of the time, getting out. Celebrity portraits were always fun. Even though, those where you get to the thing and you got to figure out what to do and you get 2.5 minutes.
Right.
Things like that. So, or even less.
How did you handle that? How did you handle that kind of, especially early when you got thrown into it, the quick portrait in a hotel room?
That all kind of changed over time. And, depending on when I first started, did a lot of stuff available white because the strobe stuff was too big to carry around. And I remember trying and using my first strobe meter back then. Because back then you had to figure it out by the numbers. And that wasn't real consistent. And you could I didn't really have a good Polaroid or anything to try to do stuff like that. It was a lot of, trying to piece some of that together. So strobe stuff back when I first started was very sketchy.
Really?
Well, yeah, because if you think about it, the strobe on top didn't vary at all. It was one power. So you had to estimate your aperture to by the dial on the back and hope that was consistent. Then I remember seeing the first strobe meter, and it was amazing. It was very good, but it was great because at least you were going to be close.
Right, got you in the ballpark.
Got you in the ballpark, but then again, you didn't know until you saw the film. I mean, you could try. Some people were making Polaroid backs and stuff for the cameras and things like that, which helped.
Right,
but it'd be a very small frame on it. You couldn't see much. Oh, and then there's today. Poof.
Boom, yeah, totally different. Did the LA Times take care of you guys gear-wise? Were you guys keeping up to date? Or was that kind of pulling teeth in those early years for you?
In the early years, there wasn't that much gear, and that's just how it was. So, my first stuff was I got the motor drive, I got the F, I got a couple lenses, and that was kind of it. So there wasn't that much. I even used some of my own gear.
Really?
Yeah.
It's funny.
But nobody had a lot of stuff. So that's just how it was.
Why do you think that was? Just that was what they just thought you needed?
It's just how it was. Yeah, it's just how it was. And then eventually the gear just kept getting better and better as, different budgets or different this and different that. So, yeah.
Do you think that was more of a managerial decision?
Yeah. It's just
hey, we got to take care of our guys? Or
no, just the gear just changed and stuff got better, and it was still the better gear than anybody else had.
Right.
So it wasn't like it was bad gear. It was just people didn't have a lot of stuff. It just wasn't how it was.
When did you start to feel that gear shift? 80s? When you started to be like, wow, they're giving me a 400 2.8 or a 300 2.8 in my car. Or I got 3 cameras, or the flashes actually work.
Well, that was just the flashes worked. Yeah, the Vitar 283.
Yeah, God.
Don't be showing your age.
Yeah.
But that was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, having a strobe that changed as you moved was amazing.
Oh, yeah, that changed the way everybody shot.
Yeah, it was a lot better.
So on those celebrity portraits, were there any nightmares early on, or were there people that were really good? Because you did quite a few.
I didn't do a lot. That was really.
I saw some pictures.
I've done some, and it just always was fun because when you're taking pictures of celebrities, it's usually pretty easy. It's not as big a challenge because they're professionals and they're celebrities. So the pictures seem to always work out. Whereas if you're doing a business person in their office who doesn't like having their picture taken, it's a little trickier and not as interesting. But yeah, the celebrity portraits, you just have to think ahead of time. Usually you come in maybe thinking of some ideas before you get there, and then it's got to be going through your heads. I mean, I've done everything, but because you're not supposed to, you can't really manipulate anything or change anything, but for some reason you're allowed to use gels and lay multiple images on things. So I was using plastic cameras and all that stuff because, I just tried to do something a little different. And usually the people are receptive to some of that stuff more than just the regular camera stuff. Depends who you get.
Why do you think that is?
They just seem to be.
They just thought it was interesting. Like you're trying.
But everybody was different. And actually most of the celebrities always seemed like they had more time, but it was usually the PR person that was tugging your strings.
Okay, so how did you deal with the gentleman, the CEO or the business guy at his desk that didn't want a comfortable photo?
That was always that to me was always, well, you'd always look around and see what they have in their office, or how you try to get something that would go with what their operation was or what they did. So it was kind of tricky, but it was
how did you get them calm or comfortable?
I mean, you're just talking to people and you're trying to think how to make this a better picture and.
How do I make them not look, 300 pounds or it's just boring as hell?
Yeah, it's just hard. But that was part of it. It's part of the fun. But that's part of the, getting out and meeting people and doing things. And I mean, I never even minded too much going to like parties and having to do. And back when we did those kinds of things, we would do that a lot.
Yeah, the socialite stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do it as much anymore, but we would do a lot of those, and stuff like that seemed quick and nice, and it's just part of the job, and really, a lot of people didn't like it, so a lot of people want to do war stuff and don't want to do that. See, so that's really the difference. A lot of people, I like kind of doing what you would consider would be the regular newspaper stuff, and other people want to do traveling and war stuff and those kinds of things. Just out of the box, I guess. But
you did it well.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with meat and potatoes.
Did okay.
You did okay.
Now it's all Instagram. And, now everything's just one square.
That's it.
One square photo. You can crop really good now because you're only talking 800 pixels or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe 1,000 if you're going real high quality.
Find an old Hasselblad, you're good to go. When did you start to hear about this beast called digital? When did that?
Well, that was interesting too. I think it was a Canon with the Kodak, or the Kodak camera.
Kodak Monster.
Was it the Kodak, but with the branding with Canon? Was that the first? Yeah, I can remember that I remember the first time I saw someone and they had to carry around like a VCR with them or something. I thought that's never going to work.
Yeah, did you just think no way?
I thought no way, and I would say I wouldn't. I resisted. I would say a little, because at first the quality was pretty bad.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
So I wouldn't say I jumped on that early.
Just kind of step back a little bit.
But I'm not going back now.
Well, right, but did you step back then and go? I'll let you guys take a couple?
I wasn't really involved with that, so it was all fine with me.
Yeah, but
I didn't need to be like the first one there with the big VCR pack on my side and a giant
dragging that thing around Angel Stadium so you can make some pictures.
With a cord connected to it. It's like that.
God, but you're a gearhead now.
I'm pretty geeky when it comes to stuff.
So when did that change come where you're like, you know what? I kind of like computer chips.
Well, I've always liked that stuff, the computer stuff. It's just that the photography just wasn't, I don't think, quite there yet. So
you didn't want it. Did you not want the merge, or you just didn't see it ready?
I didn't see it ready.
But could you see at that point, like, okay, this is where we're going in 20 years? This is gonna.
I would say with those first cameras, no. It seemed more like a novelty, I'd say, back then. But right. I'm no Steve Jobs. So.
Well, I just remember like watching Mark Terrell go. This camera doesn't make Laker yellow. It's all
right.
All their uniforms are mustard looking, and he would have to make them yellow. And I was just like, why would you ever want to shoot on something that doesn't even have colors? Like it was basically a crayon box.
Yeah, the first stuff out was pretty awful.
Awful's a good word. I was saying embarrassing, but yeah, it was.
What?
It had what? It went ISO 200, 400, 800, and then I think like H1. I don't even think it had a 1600. And you didn't want to shoot 4 or 800. That was just numbers, but it was 8. It was just 4 pixels of 4 ugly colors.
It was all good.
You're being.
How long have we gone for?
Not long enough.
Oh man.
How did you then embrace digital? When did you be like, okay, I'm in?
I mean, the first cameras we had were okay. They still weren't perfect, but we were just going toward it. It seemed pretty good. I mean,
because now you got to carry a laptop.
Well, that was fine. I like that.
Okay,
that was all good.
But you're carrying cards, you're carrying batteries. The first couple cameras, you couldn't get through a game without 2 or 3 batteries.
I'm trying to think. I can't even remember that well. So I kind of put those first cameras were not great.
I just remember cringing, looking at you guys going, I can't believe you got to carry so much stuff. Like you just had 8 batteries and cards and all.
I don't remember it being that bad. Maybe I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was. I probably was not one of the. I wasn't one of the first people to.
Maybe when you're traumatized?
I'm just saying, I don't remember it being that many batteries and that the laptops being that bad. So, I mean, back then, the laptops, those seemed small. You have to remember, it's not a MacBook Air.
Yeah, no. They were very thick, huge.
Yeah, but that was small.
Right, that was small then.
That was small. So you got to put yourself back there. It didn't seem so bad.
How did you keep your edge over your career?
Yeah,
because guys do get lazy, complacent.
Well,
were you competitive?
Yeah, I mean, you always like to get a better picture. I mean, that would say 100% on that, but that's just the luck of the draw sometimes, and the spot you're at, and things like that. Especially if you're doing sports.
Like if
some people seem to be luckier than others.
Right. Who?
I'm not. Who
had some luck?
I'm not going that route.
Come on. Let's see who the lucky ones are.
No, I'm not going there.
But
obviously, certain people do a better job than others. I'm not going there. But that's just being better. Sometimes if you're better.
Okay, so if you went to an event and you saw like Mike Goulding there, were you like, ooh, this is going to be fun?
Mike's one of my favorite people.
Oh, I love Mike to death. But if you saw him, did that kind of like get your blood flowing? Like, ooh, going up against Mike. Let's see who gets a better photo.
No, I wouldn't say. I would just. I'm more of a just trying to get the best photo. I never really even thought when I was at a game who was there.
Did you get any pressure from editors?
No, never.
Like that was not a good week for you, or
no, that was never a problem.
Well, that's
because
nice.
I did such a good job.
Being on the top makes it easy.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like you could push the envelope photographically and try stuff? You said like you tried some plastic cameras or some maybe toy cameras with portraits. Were there any chances like you're like, I'm only going to shoot this game with like a 6 or this camera, that camera, and push stuff?
No, because that was, well, it was always tricky. I mean, I really didn't use a lot of remotes back then, and probably that would have been nice to do those kind of things. I didn't have as much extra gear to do that all with, but that always seemed fun. Yeah, I mean, it is tough when you shoot. Then you're really throwing the dice if you're shooting super long lenses when you're doing sports, because
Right.
now you don't have to. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Those cameras are so good now. You could shoot everything with a 24.
No,
You can't?
No, you can't.
Come
Kids,
on.
do not listen to Robert. Get a 6. Get out there. Man up.
Yeah.
Shoot life through a straw.
Get everything with a 24. Okay, 28. You can go 28 or 35.
What was okay?
Get all the bases and then just crop in now.
What was at the end of your career? What was your camera bag looking like? Because at the beginning of your career, you said it was basically hodgepodge. What were you shooting at the end of your career?
The nicer lenses and stuff. Because you're using all the lenses are 2.8 stuff like that, which is
you were
huge.
Canon at the time.
Yes, I started Nikon, and then the paper changed over to Canon.
Right.
And it's funny how the brands have changed. They've kind of gone back and forth. Where one's better and one's they kind of
back and
done
forth,
little
back
things.
and forth.
But so pretty much I started with Nikon and ended with using Canon. And it wasn't that wasn't my choice. It was all good. It didn't really matter to me that much. It was just that's what the paper went to, and so
that was it.
That was fine. I mean, I didn't really, and seemed fine. It wasn't like both at the time were very competitive, and so that's how I switched over to. And then my gear at the end, just nice camera bodies and nice lenses. Right. But I wasn't shooting as much too because I became a photo editor and stuff.
So did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's different. It's better when you see the assignments come by. When you see an assignment you don't want to shoot, but it's a little frustrating when you see something nice you would like to shoot.
Right.
So, but then again, you're not out in the rain, and you're not out in the traffic, and
fire, all that other stuff.
There's certain things, like you kind of miss those kind of things, being out in the middle of brush fires or news like that, or big sporting events, the Academy Awards, those kind of events, things like that.
What's the best thing you've shot? Like with that event, you're like, oh, that was the best.
I've done 2 World Series where the teams have won, which was probably pretty cool. I've done Super Bowl.
So you did what? Is that 88 Dodgers?
81.
81 Dodgers.
81 Dodgers. Dodgers won in the Bronx, Game 6.
Wow.
They lost their first 2 games and won the next 4. And that was a very cool experience. Going back, I went to all the games. Going back to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx was pretty cool.
What made it great?
Just the fans and the stadium, just the magic of that stadium.
Was that the first time in that stadium?
Yeah.
How did they treat you?
Everything was great there.
That's good.
It's great there, and you're talking some amazing baseball players. Back then it was pretty fun. And just that was kind of the end of the sort of an era of the Dodgers. It was the Ron Say and Steve Carvey era, I believe, right?
Yeah. Lopes and all those guys.
And I was a
together.
pretty big Dodger fan back then, and I grew up as a Dodger fan, and so it was pretty electric being there for all the games. And it looked like they were going to, after they lost the first 2, it didn't look good. So
right, you're probably going back on, oh, this is done.
Yeah, but it was fun.
And then you covered 2002, the Angels.
Yeah, and they won. That was pretty cool. That was fun too, but probably not quite as fun as seeing the Dodgers win and being back there for all the games. I mean, it was pretty fun, but
it wasn't Yankee Stadium.
It wasn't Yankee Stadium.
Right. That was a real rivalry.
It was just different, and I mean, the Angels was a lot of fun too. I mean, it's pretty for them to come back and win. I think they were a wild card team too.
Yeah, both teams were wild card teams.
Yeah, so that was pretty amazing. And plus, were they down in that series? They almost lost anyway to the Giants.
I don't know.
They came back in that one game. I think it was game 3 or 4.
That was the steroid series with both those clubs.
So it was a lot of fun. So those I've done a couple Academy Awards back in the day. Now you want to guess which Academy Awards?
Was it during Dorothy Chandler times?
Yes.
How was that?
It was great. Now you want to name?
Who was it? Like the French Connection one or something?
Not that far back.
Red.
One of my favorite photos too from that. You can see it on my website.
Which one? Who was it?
Jack Nicholson won.
Was that for One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And then I did the next one, and those are the only 2 I ever did. And can you guess who did one next for Best Actor or for Best Picture?
Oh,
Best Picture, I think.
for the following year?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rocky.
Oh, so was it 77?
70. I think it was 74 and then 75, or 75 and 76.
Okay.
So it goes pretty far back. But that was fun. That was, all black and white, and you just hand your film off, go back.
You're wearing your tuxedo, shoot a little bit, someone runs off with your film.
That's right, exactly.
How was that faith of like giving off your film, being like, bye, good luck, hope you make it?
Well, it was just how it was. That's fine. Because it was easy. It was great. You shoot the pictures, hand the film off. How much better could that be?
So why are you only doing 2? They never bring you back.
Other people wanted to start doing it. I don't know why. Yeah, I didn't. It was fun.
Like in the whole 80s.
That was back too, and that was the deadline room. I was in the deadline room both times. Like 4 or 5 photographers. It was great.
Wait a minute. The deadline room was down to 4 or 5 photographers? That's it?
There were 2 rooms.
Oh, okay. So that's how they split
The
it
good
up?
deadline room and the not so good deadline room.
Oh, okay. So who's in the deadline room with you?
Just, the
UAP,
UPI, maybe,
Reuters?
maybe Newsweek.
Or Newsweek?
Something like that, or Time, maybe.
Okay.
And then maybe the...
And then in the other room, it's literally everybody else.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, there's probably like 5 or 6 people in the one room and 150 in the other one.
Everybody and their mother.
I don't know. They don't still do that, do they? Do have a separate room?
No, not like that. No. Now it's
a small room, so
right.
you can reach out and grab them.
Right.
The distance was from me to you.
Right. No, now it's...
If you couldn't have a very long... You almost need a 50. Else you,
sure. I mean, at that distance, you don't need a long lens at all. I made it really easy. And now they have the Academy Award photographer and then everybody else.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So they're making their exclusive content, whoever they bring in.
Yeah, things were a little different back then.
Yeah. Art's doing it, and they're building stages and productions just for these portraits that are all elaborate.
Yeah, this is just some...
Right, some schmuck in a white...
Some guy put up some background in the back.
Okay, so what was like the worst assignment you covered? You're just like, oh my God, I am knee deep in mud. This is the worst. How did I get here assignment?
That's a tough one, I can't really think of stuff like that.
Was it a god-awful fire or like...
I did some, the fires are kind of crazy and stuff like that, where stuff's, they seem a little dangerous at times. You kind of...
Did you cover like the Laguna fires or...
I can't remember, I've done a few that go so far back.
Fires could be messy. That's why I say that, because you just... They're hard on you, your gear, the car.
The thing is, you don't have... I never really had... That was back in the day more, and I never really had enough protective gear. So when you can start feeling that fire burning, you're that hot, you're... But it's pretty interesting. But yeah, stuff like that. But I never really felt that in danger or anything, so it wasn't too bad.
What was the best, like, was the Olympics in 84, was that the Olympics you did?
Yes.
Did you do any winter?
No. Boy, that would seem tough.
Would you want to have done one?
I don't know.
Because they're so different.
Hard. It's so hard. The logistics on those things never seemed really hard to get good photographs that they would want.
Right.
We'd usually send 2 people, and I don't know how you'd be competing against. I wouldn't like that kind of competition. They would send you those Winter Olympics, and you'd be competing against 100 other photographers or more, and how do you get the positions in those sports?
In a different time zone?
Well, it's like, where do you put yourself on some ski slope? I mean...
Right. Just put you on a mountain and you hope the guy comes through your frame?
Yeah, it just doesn't... That doesn't appeal to me.
With your 2.5 frame per second, F2, you're freezing, and you're on the side of a mountain.
Yeah. Have you ever done that?
Yeah, and it's brutal.
Where'd you do that at?
Vancouver.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's just, you're freezing your ass off. It's just uncomfortable. It's miserable. But the Winter Olympics is broken up so differently. There's everything on the mountain and everything indoors.
Okay.
That's it. So you can either shoot your skating, ice skating, everything is in a building. So those guys are wearing flip-flops and t-shirts because you're indoors all day. And then everybody else, you're shooting like cross-country skiing. Is it the Peloton? Is that the
cross-country skiing? How would you do that?
Oh, and then what's the one where they give you the rifles and you do cross-country skiing? And then there's the luge. That's outdoors. They're going by at 100 miles an hour. There he goes. There he goes. And all you're doing is panning, trying to get Olympic rings. So yeah, God forbid, got to have Olympics in it. Otherwise, no one will know why we're here covering the luge. So it's like over and over again.
Those guys go by pretty fast.
Yeah. So you just, it was.
You don't know who anybody is.
No. That's yawn.
How do you caption that stuff? How does that work there? How does that work?
So it's all on. Everybody goes off on a timesheet. So it's going to be the Norwegian guy first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And so you just know, okay, this first guy I shot, that's the Norwegian. That's the Swede. That's the French guy. And so you look through your shot of like, okay, yeah, that was the American. That's him. Because that's it. I mean, you do have uniforms, right? Each teams will wear uniforms, but they might be
I might be able to see their numbers.
But they all might all be in black, and on the uniform it just says USA because they're wearing those luge boots, hats, everything else. So there's nothing distinct like track across. The Jamaicans stand out much differently than maybe the Swedish guy.
Yeah, because you got the uniforms are good, and plus probably have numbers.
Right, and they have numbers because of the 100.
Yeah,
and you're gonna know who maybe the guy who runs the 100. Whether it's Carl Lewis, right? When you do it, he's going to stand out over somebody else. So you know that. When you were covering, when you covered boxing, what did they tell you? Look for best pictures, or were you just exclusively get the Americans?
No, it was just best pictures. You were just shooting everything.
Were you ringside or were you up above?
Most of the time I was ringside. It was just pretty hard.
Yeah.
We did both. What
was your ringside kit? What did you do? Two cameras?
I can't remember even that well. I do remember going to the Olympic Auditorium once, and the first time I ever went to boxing. That was fun, guys.
That place was a prison cell. That was crazy.
It just having guys fall in front of you there was that back, and the blood was splattering everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
It's crazy. Then I even did a wrestling thing with both. I did both there. That place was a pit.
Joe Kennedy told me very early in my career, it's a cliche and you know this, but you don't wear light colors or white to boxing. And I go to the Olympic Auditorium, and I come out of there and I got more blood on me than a surgeon. It was amazing how much blood was going on back then. And then they would throw the bottle caps at you and all the stuff would come raining down if there was a bad call. That was nuts.
Yeah, we went there a couple times. I think once for boxing and once for wrestling, I think.
Wrestling would have been fun there.
Yeah.
I kind of got upgraded and they started to do the boxing at the Forum, and I was like, oh, thank God, this place is classy compared to the Olympic Auditorium. So when your career was winding down, did you still have a game plan to shoot, or were you like, I'm done?
No, they asked me to. I actually started doing the desk work a couple days a week, and then shooting a couple, three, both, and it just slowly turned into full time, and that was kind of it. And it was fine, it's just there's a lot of younger people that have a lot, are really good, and it just seemed like a right time, you
felt right.
Yeah, it was no problem. There's just so many young, energetic people coming up that are super good. So
what advice would you have for a young photographer today?
Wow, it's a tough field. I don't know. I mean, the difference from when I first started, not everybody could do what a newspaper photographer could do just because of the mechanics, the chemistry involved, the camera gear involved, the expense of the camera gear and everything else. No phones, no nothing, pretty much. Now everybody's got a phone and video, and the competition is crazy. The cameras are so good now. It's hard to not take a great photo with just every camera out there now. So
the cameras do make photographers better.
it's I don't know if that's it. It's just you have the ability to shoot such nice photos, especially in lighting conditions that aren't great. I mean, the difference of shooting indoor photo. I mean, cameras now, 1600, 3200 looks just absolutely beautiful. The ISO and back in the day, in the olden days, if you went past 800, it started to look pretty bad.
Were there some photos you wish you could have shot 6400 or 10,000?
Absolutely.
I shot 10,000 last night. I can't get my head around it still.
I mean, you're talking, indoor gym, high school gyms and stuff. Even the Forum, while the lighting was good there, super contrasty.
Right.
The sports arena was pretty dark and contrasty.
Even the pond, when it opened up, it wasn't great.
Well, at least it was hockey.
Well, yeah, hockey helped.
I've actually never done any other sport there, so I don't know what it's like for basketball. I may have shot one basketball, I can't remember. But the Forum, yeah, it just was so, it was better than other places, but it was still pretty bad.
Did you get any of those Laker playoff games in or Laker Showtime games in during your career?
Yeah, I mean, I did Magic Johnson. I didn't do too many of the playoff games, but that's actually back, and now we'll go one step way back. I remember going to take pictures when I was in high school. You could just go sit on the floor and take pictures, and no one said anything.
Because you had a camera.
Yeah. I've got like old negatives of Will Chamberlain, Jerry West. They're kind of thin.
Sure.
There's not a lot of detail in those images. I don't know if I can get a photo out. I can't find them, but yeah.
So you would just park your ass courtside, and there's nobody there.
No.
And take pictures with your 50 millimeter lens.
Yep, nobody cared. Oh, how's that?
Unbelievable.
Oh, okay, I'll do one other one too. This is when I first started, to show you how things have changed. I wanted to shoot, this is when I was working at the paper, but pretty early, probably in the early 70s, well, mid-70s. And I get to the game, I was like, you know what? I'd like to shoot some stuff shooting down, okay? So I find the public relations person and go, yeah, is it okay if I shoot from the rafters? And they go, sure. And I go, well, how do I get up there? Or do I need a key to somebody to go? No, he points to a door way up at the top. Just go through that door. Walked up to the top of the arena, go through the door, walk under the rafters, take pictures of the game as it's going on, like that, looking down. Can you picture that?
Oh my God.
Same thing with tennis. I did tennis also.
When the tennis there.
Straight down at someone serving.
Oh, wow.
With my 300 millimeter lens. 300 f4.
Oh, well, at least you were looking straight down.
Yeah.
You had some light. What made you think you wanted that? What?
People did it, but not that often. Just was kind of cool.
Right. And you wanted it.
Yeah. Isn't that funny, though? The difference of no one cared.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared.
Isn't that funny?
That's nuts.
That's probably kind of some of the interesting stuff of how things have sort of changed.
Yeah. Now, you got to have insurance. They only let so many people up there. Some arenas don't let anybody up there. Mm-hmm. The hell wouldn't let you wander around up there during the game.
During the game.
You're going to have to mount a camera and you're going to have to do it hours beforehand. I mean, it's just... And God knows what, you could have done up there by accident, not intentionally. Trip, fell, dropped something, keys.
Yeah, my lens
film,
hood. My lens hood.
Lens hood, lens filter, strap, whatever. Mounts, those little teeny mounts on the lens. No, I didn't have any mounts.
Oh, yeah.
Could have come out.
Yeah.
And your lens goes zipping by you like this.
Yeah, to think of that now is kind of scary. Kind of makes me nervous now.
So you retire. Do you keep shooting? What are you doing?
It just... probably the thing I enjoy the most about being retired is not having a schedule of if I need to take a day off to do something, I have to decide whether it's important enough to take a day off, those kinds of things, which I really enjoy. I miss the works. I don't miss the drive into work every day.
Okay.
That's probably the biggest thing. I don't miss the drive. I miss the people. People are pretty fun.
Right.
But I keep pretty busy. The days go so fast. I can't even. I can't even believe it.
It zips by.
It zips by.
Now, we talked about this before we started. Health.
Yeah.
Right? You decided when you were...
Well, I was 59.
59.
And I lost almost 40 pounds, yeah, because I was just deciding when I retire, I don't want to have to try to do it.
Now, was that weight just kind of slow, gradual, couple of pounds here?
Part of it, too, my dad had gotten overweight and had diabetes a lot in his later life. And so I didn't want that to happen. So there was a family of, so I decided, and it took about 8 months. But
what did you do?
I ate less.
Okay.
And I worked out almost 5 days a week.
What did you start?
I went to a trainer first.
Okay.
I went to a trainer once a week, and that worked out. And I worked out pretty hard. So and I still do it. I've done it every day. I work out probably 4 or 5 times a week.
Yeah,
4 times a week.
We're sitting here in your gym. I mean,
I try to work out about 4 times a week, and I've done it now for almost 10 years.
What's your routine? Are you like a chest, tries guy, back and buys, leg day, get your running and cardio? I mean, you got weights here, you got a full gym.
I try to separate it usually between a push and a pull day.
Okay.
I mean, I have an ideal system, but I just almost can work out whenever because it's just, now have sort of a funny schedule of just whenever I just start working out, then it falls to the next day. But I try to do a day of push and then a day of pull.
How do you feel? You feel good?
Well, yeah. I'm in the best health I've ever been in, and
That's great.
68.
That's fantastic to say that.
Yeah.
That at 68 you feel damn good.
I'm in pretty good shape.
Because you're a Sierra guy. You like to go hiking and shooting and taking pictures.
Yeah.
So that comes in helpful.
But I don't get out enough.
No, but to have 40 pounds less and go hiking in the Sierras,
and
that's
that
nice.
Stuff. But it's all, I don't expect other people to be as crazy. I count every calorie.
Every one of them?
Yeah. I know it, every single thing. I look and see what it has. So I decide whether it's worth it to eat it.
Do you have a number in your head like you can't get by? Like, I can't get past X amount of calories in a day?
Yeah, well, it's kind of boring, but, I try to go about...
Some people do.
2,400 probably is around.
Okay.
So, just depends. Yeah. I'm kind of nutty, but, that's just my own...
But that's okay.
That's sort of my hobby, one of my hobbies.
What's the other hobby? Because I'm kind of feeling like I'm sitting here in a studio.
In terms of...
Oh, I don't know. There's a microphone. There's a top-down camera because we're going to start doing product reviews. Is that right?
Yeah, my goal was to do more YouTube, but it's hard to get started.
When did you find, like...
Well, I did it for work.
Right.
Stuff.
And how did that go?
It was great. I enjoyed it a lot.
So when the video started at work, did you take to that? I kind of enjoy this?
Yeah, I mean, it actually started, though, after I was... already working the desk. So I was editing some stuff for people or whatever, and but I didn't really shoot on assignment. I did it for doing that's back when we had like a photography blog kind of thing going on. Mm-hmm. So that's when I was doing it for. So I did my own, like once a week I was trying to get reviews out and stuff like that. So but it's just the combination of working out and I've been doing a lot of, I like to get out and just see birds or landscapes and do that other stuff. And
you shoot a lot of birds.
Yeah, they're around. It's easy. You just got to find them. It's like, or I'd get out and do more landscape, but with the COVID and stuff, it's been kind of tough to get out. So I haven't been really doing that as much. But so, just keep busy like everybody else. The days go quick.
Do you have a YouTube channel?
Yeah, I do, but I'll get more stuff on it. So.
But it's active now?
Yes.
Well, what is it?
You can just do Robert Lachman. You can just go to my website, robertlachman.com, and it takes you to everything.
And it'll take you to that beautiful YouTube channel.
Yeah, anything you want.
Because you're going to start blowing it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Me and Casey Neistat. He's got him worried. I'm be more like his dad.
Oh, please.
Mine is going to be for old people, though. No young people coming to my...
That's okay.
You think?
They're on TikTok. Don't worry about them.
That's true.
You just do...
now, you got your TikTok channel going
nope.
too? No?
I don't touch that at all.
No?
They can't pay me to be on that thing.
Oh, come on.
No way.
Come on.
Nah.
Come on.
Chinese got that thing all wrapped up. I want no part of it.
You got a funny dog video. I know you got something.
No. It's that and like, there's too much crap that already distracts me. Between my YouTube channel and the podcast and like Instagram, like I don't need to do like TikTok and something else.
That's really hard though. You got to come up with some creative stuff. You're not.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need it. I got enough stuff like entertaining my time. I don't need to be doing TikTok dance videos.
Come on.
No, I'm good.
That's not me either.
But you're gonna do reviews?
Yeah.
What's gonna be the first one? Give us a peek. What are you going to do?
That's a tough question.
No, it's not. That. Come on.
Maybe some, how about something like digital frames? I'll start with that. I love my digital frames, stuff like that.
You like that?
Yeah. That's one, actually, one of the things I might start working on is things to do with your photographs. How about that?
That's a good one.
We'll do starting next week. You ready?
Okay.
We'll try to get out 2 at least. I'll start my first series and we're going to try things. What to do with those, like me, 50,000 photos in my photo library that no one sees or you never do anything with. How's that?
That's going to be a good one.
You think?
That's 99% of the country.
I think so, yeah. So I've got some, I like doing, that's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm going to work on that and we'll revisit it, okay?
Okay. All right. What's the other one? You said 2 things.
Well, I'm kind of into home, again, we did a remodel, so I'm getting way into like home automation, so I'm getting pretty friendly with Siri. So I'm going to do a few things on that.
So are you a Siri guy or do you do Alexa or?
I am all
in the Apple ecosystem.
Yes.
Okay.
So pretty much everything's HomeKit. Anything I buy has to be able to. Any of the devices or accessories has to work with HomeKit.
Okay.
So that way everything is. When I say, good night or...
Lights on, lights off.
Yeah, everything's pretty controlled.
That's going to be a good one.
You think?
Yeah, absolutely. You let me know. I'll pimp that baby out.
Okay.
I'll let everybody know.
Okay.
Check out Robert on YouTube.
I like it.
You're the man.
So are you doing any home automation yourself?
Not yet. No.
Let me come to me.
I will come to you first. Well, I'll just watch the video.
It's going to be a long one.
It's okay. I got time.
Okay.
I got to row every day, so I'll just sit there.
Are you rowing? Are you watching them when you row?
I watch when I row.
So you've got the water. We should have a challenge, okay? Let's do this.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
We're going to review your machine against mine.
Ooh.
What do you think?
I like that.
I think I can bring it over. I got to figure out I think I can fit that in the back of my car.
That'd be good.
What do you think? You up for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah. I love my rower. Like, I live off of that
Have you
thing.
tried this? Have you tried one of these?
No.
This is a great rowing machine.
I'm all in.
It's a Concept 1. It's a Concept 2.
Yeah.
That's the one they have in most of the gyms.
Right. I tell people all the time, like, if you can't run anymore, row.
Yeah, I
it's
like
even
the
better
best. That's
for you.
probably my favorite. We do have a Peloton, and I actually like the rowing better.
Yeah.
So how far are you going?
I feel like I got a better workout.
How far are you going? You doing a 5,000 usually?
10,000.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 10,000.
Wait, you're in.
So my goal is every month
10,000 is pretty.
to have 300,000, or no, I'm sorry, $250,000 every month. So if there's a day or a month that it's short, February screws me, or just I can only get 8,000 that day just because of time.
You're in pretty good shape then.
It's.
If you're doing a 10,000, see, I get lazy and I just pull out a quick 2,000.
Just try to bang. Well, okay, but how quickly you try to get it done? Couple minutes?
It takes longer than a few minutes.
Well,
2,000.
What are you doing? 8 minutes?
I'm pretty slow.
Okay.
I'm the world's. My cardio, I'm pretty slow.
Okay. That's where if you really want to feel the pain and get that heart rate up, try to do like 500 in 40 seconds.
No, I'd like to be able to do. Well, this is getting too.
But that's what people love to watch. on YouTube.
A 5,000. 5,000 was what I wish. It just takes me forever, and so sometimes, I like to do about 20 minutes of rowing.
Okay.
But see, you can polish off you probably can easily polish off a 5,000. How long does it take you to do the 10,000?
So this is how I used to do it. I would watch The Son of Anarchy.
Yeah. The
Sons of Anarchy. And I would have to get my 10,000 done before the episode. So that's 43 minutes.
Yeah. See, I think, you are.
I'm banging.
How old are you now?
I'm 50, just turned 50.
You've got such a youngster.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty good. You are twice as fast as me, because it takes me 40 minutes to do a 5,000.
Oh, we got to get that up. Let's go. We got to go for it.
Remember. Don't
watch golf. You got to watch something that gets your blood flowing.
I've got. You're 50?
Yeah.
So I've got 18 years on you. Trust me, those 18 years slow you down. Are you lifting at all?
Yes. Yeah. 4 or 5 times a week.
That's good.
Yeah. I got 2 young boys. I got to compete with them.
Oh, Mike, I couldn't. There's no chance with me.
Yeah, I got one who's riding with me. We're doing the Fullerton Loop all the time. My other one runs track. I'm lifting with him. And so, yeah, I got to compete with teenage boys in the house.
You're doing good.
Otherwise, I get crushed.
Then we'll come over here. We'll have you bench.
Yeah, let's get some benching in. We just do it in the garage, straight ghetto.
Do you?
Just throw it down and bang out weights in the garage.
That's good. I like it up here. It's a pretty...
Yeah, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good set of weights, too.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you got TV, got your little media center, weights.
Those 50s are heavy, though.
Yeah, but this is COVID ready. All you need, you got a mini fridge in here? That's all you need.
No, I just ring down. Get it delivered.
Robert, I can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your busy schedule and the house remodel and dodging COVID and everything else to sit down with me and...
Well, it's a lot of fun.
Talk about...
We'll do it again sometime.
We're gonna, because we're going to do the challenge.
Which challenge?
On the YouTube. We're going to review our rowers.
Okay, you got it.
Okay. So
we'll get you home automated.
Let's put a date. Let's say what? In 30 days, we do that review?
Can do it anytime.
No. We got to... Within 30 days.
Let's do it before 30 days.
Okay. 2 weeks?
Whenever you want.
Okay. We're going to have a review on my rower and your rower in 2 weeks on YouTube.
Except the only thing is...
Here's an except.
No, I'm just saying I'm not going to row as fast as you.
Well, we're not doing a challenge on how fast. We're going to review the rower.
Okay, we can talk about what's good and bad about each one.
Let's review the rower.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah. No, we're not getting paid for it. We're just 2 old guys getting healthy.
You're a youngster.
It's all right. I got some gray.
You're so young.
You're the best, Robert.
Thank you.
All right. Best of luck.
Talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Robert Lachman. If you enjoyed this episode, please click the like button, subscribe as well. You can find all of the shows on the website, justagoodconversation.com. Thank you for listening.